Thank you for taking the time to watch this episode of Life Support. If you enjoy the content, we would ask that you like it, hit subscribe, and share it with your friends. Hey, it's so good to have you on Life Support. What we do in this program is we tell stories about how Christ enters in to difficult situations and redeems and does redemptive work in our lives. And it's really exciting to hear these stories. And with me today is former professional hockey player Bil Butters from Hockey Ministries. And Bill, thanks for coming back. You told a little bit of your story last time about your conversion and how God did that through 12-year-old boys, which was an amazing story. But you made reference to a tough childhood, a tough growing up experience. How did that shape you as you began your hockey career?
Yeah, I guess when I was growing up, I didn't realize it was tough, a tough life.
Just normalized, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I had a mom and a dad for a while. My mother and dad divorced when I was 4 years old. I have two older sisters, and that's always hard. You know, you love your dad, you love your mom, and all of a sudden the dad's out, and the mom thinks, well, you know, I got three kids, I better have a father figure. So my mother got married again to a guy, and I don't even know how, I was young, I don't know how long that lasted, but soon she was divorced, and then she actually remarried my dad for a very short time, and they got divorced, and then my mother got married to another guy, and that didn't last, and so she said, well, you know, maybe I bring my kids to church. And because of my mother's lifestyle, we lived in White Bear Lake. I don't even know what church she brought us to, but she didn't feel welcome there. So we never really went to church. But I just remember looking at my mother's face when, you know, you get the look like, hey, you shouldn't be here, and your kid shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And the brokenness I saw in her face. So I kind of grew up really not knowing much about Christianity, except that they were kind of judgmental and they weren't kind people.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately, that's still the case. And, you know, when families are breaking up or a divorce happens, people just run from churches.
Yeah. And so I grew up, and I was a decent athlete, I guess. I just loved baseball, and I got on a baseball team and played a little baseball, and then football season came around, and I played a little football, and hockey came around, and I skated a little bit. I wasn't very good, and played hockey, and the guys, though, in my life were coaches. And they kind of poured into me, and I guess because I was halfway decent, they liked me, and they talked to me more, and I go, man, I might want to be a coach someday, and, you know, these guys are kind to me. And, So, I just played sports. I went to school. I was a pretty good student. My mother did her thing, and she worked and provided for us, but my family kind of fell apart. My sisters got into stuff they shouldn't have, and they moved away, and I don't want to get in and tell their story,
Sure.
but so I kind of raised myself. I learned how to iron shirts and wash clothes, and my mom then had a boyfriend, and she'd work, and I'd see her Friday morning, and then I wouldn't see her till Monday morning. And she'd go away for most of the weekends and do some stuff with her boyfriend and travel around the world, and sometimes she went to Europe, sometimes she went to Mexico, and so I'd be home alone quite a bit of the time, and I just grew up kind of raising myself, and I thought I was a good guy, and I was a good student, and so that was kind of my childhood. My dad got remarried, and they had the lady that he married had two boys, and then they had two brothers, or two boys, so they were my half brothers. So I had two step brothers and two half brothers, and so I'd see them occasionally, but it was kind of
like not ideal. You're always underselling yourself as a hockey player, because you have to be a heck of a hockey player to step on an NHL rink. So congratulations for that. So you have this upbringing where you're kind of raising yourself. Now you're getting immersed in hockey culture. What was that like?
Well, first, the hockey culture was like the third thing. I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to be a football player, but I wasn't real fast, but I was tough in football. I couldn't hit a curveball after a while, so I lost my zeal to play baseball. And really, my last sport was ice hockey. I'm getting immersed in hockey because I had some success. I was a captain of the high school team. And this referee, because I was an aggressive player, referees usually want to befriend the tough guys because they can have an easier game to officiate. So I'm on the ice, and this referee's talking to me, hey, keep up the good work. And I'm going, what's he talking to me for? So a couple nights later, I get a phone call, and he goes, you probably don't remember me. I reffed your game the other night, but I'm also the assistant coach at the University of Minnesota. And he goes, my name is Herb Brooks.
Oh, wow.
And he
Is
goes,
that right?
Glenn Sonmore and I, the head coach, like the way you play, and we'd like to bring you in here to play hockey for the Gophers. I go, I'm not very good. And he goes, well, we like the way you play. So I went to the university on a partial hockey scholarship. And one day Herbie was coaching me, and I was trying to work on my skill set. I was stick handling and Herbie goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to get better. And he goes, hey, I brought you in here to be a crusher. If you think you're going to be a rusher, you're going to be an usher. You do what I brought you in there to do. So I played for the Gophers, and I had a reputation of being an aggressive player. So I would run people over, and then at that time, the Toronto Maple Leafs were in the 60s. They were a pretty good team, but then early in the late 60s and early 70s, a team in Philadelphia was an expansion team, and they had a team called the Broad Street Bullies, the Philadelphia Flyers. They had all kinds of tough guys, and they won the Stanley Cup, and Toronto couldn't win anymore. They still haven't won since 1966, I believe. Anyway.
Spending time in Canada, that's that's an interesting dynamic going on up there. Yeah.
So Toronto offered me a contract because I was a tough guy, and I don't know if I was a good enough hockey player. Obviously I wasn't. They sent me to the minors, but I played the game tough. I hit guys, and because when you hit guys, even though I wasn't a great fighter, if you hit a guy, they send their tough guy out to take care of you. So I had to learn how to fight the best I could, and I'm not a great big guy, so I end up fighting guys that are 6'2", 6'3", and I'm 5'9.5", and now I'm like 5'8.5". I think I shrunk an inch, but so you learn to take a few blows in the face and the head.
But if you look at what God's doing in that, I mean, you're suddenly playing for legendary Minnesota hockey names. You've got Glenn Sonmore, who was a legendary name. He led the North Stars to the Stanley Cup Finals. Herb Brooks, of course, Miracle on Ice, one of the greatest coaches of all time.
The greatest coach.
There you go. Not Kurt Russell, but Herb Brooks.
Right.
But God was already starting, I think, there to weave your life together to where you are now. I mean, he's giving you these opportunities. And to play in Toronto, I mean, Toronto is the center of hockey in North America, I mean, to be a Maple Leaf is like a big deal.
Yeah. I didn't, just to clarify, I went to their training camp. I got sent to their minors, and so I never actually played for the Leafs, but I was on the ice with all the Leafs in training camp.
Yeah, and a lot of really good legendary names there too. So you made your way through the what they called the World Hockey Association. You played here. You played for the North Stars, some other teams too. Did you find interesting? Not to deviate too much, but Scotty Scheffler, the great pro golfer, just had a press conference before the Open that he just won, talking about how golf does not fulfill him. And, he likes to win, hates to lose, but he goes, it's not who I am. It's not how I identify myself. It's not fulfilling for me. What's important to me is glorifying God, being a husband, and being a father. So here you are now. You're not a believer. You're playing pro hockey. Did you find that fulfilling?
I guess at the time, I mean, again, when you don't have a high, I'm not trying to say I wasn't a decent guy or a decent player, but when you know in your heart, when you play against Bobby Orr or you play with Gordie Howe and Dave Keon,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're honest, looking in the mirror, I am not in their league at all. So it was a fun way to make a living. I wanted to be a high school coach and a school teacher. That was my goal. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I'm going. I don't even know how I'm here, but I took it. I mean, it was it was fun. Sure. I mean, I wasn't like going, I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame, and when I just was glad to be on a team.
Yeah, and now what you're doing is you're giving back, and all of that experience you have. How do you find God using your past, your experience, to help reach guys that are playing right now?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that hockey's a great game. I mean, we live in the state of hockey. I mean, when I say it's a great game, hockey's just a horrible god. And we have made it there. I mean, I go to games and I see guys wearing players' jerseys, and they put two hands in their air and they're screaming, they're yelling their name. But if you go to church and put your hands in the air and go, "Yay, Jesus," they think you're a freak.
Yeah, we don't. Baptist church, we try to stay away from any sign of emotion.
Right,
so.
There you go. And other denominations are worse. So anyway, so I'm going. You don't like organized religion? You come to the game 41 times, sleet, snow. You got your assigned seat. You give more money to pro hockey buying a jersey or buying a beer or buying a hot dog than you do to your church. I go, this is organized religion. Mm-hmm. So I'm just trying to tell, because of my experience, and I was a rough guy, I said, you can be tough. Jesus was the toughest guy that ever lived.
Yep.
And you can have faith. You just don't have to do X, Y, and Z. You can be part of a team. Hockey's a good example of sacrifice. You take a hit to make a play. You block a shot. You do all this kind of stuff. That's what Jesus would do.
Yep.
And if someone ran his goalie, he'd probably be the first guy to grab the guy. So, there's some Christians that go, you can't fight, you can't do this. I go, you better fight. Jesus fought for us. Mm-hmm. He died for us on a cross. He gave his life. You're not going to go help your goalie who does this, so you better get in there. So
that's your job. Yeah.
I don't know if that's sound theology, but I'm going, I think Jesus was a warrior. He fought for us. When he was on the cross, it was the joy set before him that he looked down and saw us. He goes, I got to do this, God. Yeah. And actually, I think the battle is won in the garden. Because Jesus was wrestling. He goes, but not my will, your will be done, Lord. And he went. That was his assignment. Hey, you're going to go live 33 years, and you're going to die for a bunch of people that don't deserve it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And sadly, we feminized Jesus so much in movies and pictures, and it's almost hard to imagine. But I mean, here's a guy who was a carpenter or a handyman. He traveled all over the place. He was even during his ministry, he was always confronting these powerful people without even flinching. Yeah. And that does take a lot of courage. And sadly, we've made him out to be this kind of soft-spoken, and don't get me wrong, I don't know what, I wasn't there, although I'm old enough to maybe have been there. But I get what you're getting at. And the story the guy used to give the gospel to you, maybe give us a couple of minutes of that again, because he contextualized the gospel so well for you that you understood it for the first time when he's talking about penalties and all that kind of thing. Yeah,
and I don't want to belabor the point, but there's a rule in the NHL. It's called NHL Rule 27, and it's about a goaltender. And if you are a hockey fan at all, goalies take penalties. They trip someone, they do something, and they never leave the crease. They never leave their goal, because the rule says the coach will assign a player to serve the goalie's penalty. And when I was presented with the gospel, that was the story they used, that I took a penalty. I got 2 minutes for slashing, or 5 minutes for fighting, or 10-minute misconduct, and then you go to a place 85 feet from the bench that's called the sin bin. So there's another example that hockey's part of God's work. You go to the sin bin and you sit there, but the goalie doesn't. He gets to stay in the game. And isn't that just like Christianity, that God wants us to stay in the game? And he sent his, not this fourth line guy or the sixth defenseman, he sent his all-star. He sent Jesus, his only son, to serve our penalty in the sin bin, not 85 feet from the bench, but the cross at Calvary, so we could stay in God's game and have victory over our sin because of Jesus' death and his resurrection. So that rule, you'll look it up in the rule book, NHL Rule 27, you'll find a little parable from the hockey world.
But he was able to feed the gospel to you in a way that you really could understand.
Right. I understood.
Yeah.
Because when you sit in the sin bin, they tell you how sinful you are. They talk about your wife and your mother, and they throw beer on you. They tell you how bad you are, on top of serving the penalty.
Well, let me tell you something, Bill. Like when I was in college, I interned with the North Stars.
Okay.
And every now and then they'd send me down to run the penalty box. The worst job of anybody, because not only did you have 3 or 4 players crushed in there that were not happy about with anything,
Yeah.
but there was always that fear of letting a guy out at the wrong time and things like that. And so it was pretty rough down there. And I got a good dose of what it was like to be around NHL hockey players pretty quickly. And so what do you think is the biggest barrier to these professional athletes giving their lives to Christ?
And I think it could be professional athletes, it could be businessmen, it could be businesswomen, it could be anybody. I think the biggest thing is pride. And the biggest thing is that we don't, when people wave the white flag, that means they're surrendering. And most of us don't want to surrender control of our life to Jesus. It's a prideful thing. And I want to control. I want to do my thing. I want to do my thing. I want to go to heaven someday, if there is a heaven.
Yeah.
But I don't want to follow anybody. I don't want to surrender control. And you know, even if you look at the Beatitudes, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. The meek doesn't mean the weak. Mm-hmm. You look at a stallion, they're big, but when they get under the control, and they get a bridle in their mouth, they get a bit and a bridle on them, they're under control of the rider. They haven't lost any strength, but now their strength is in control. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a hard thing for big, strong athletes, because their whole body is strong. They spend their whole body eating right and lifting weights and doing this, and then they want to show their machismo and hammer someone else and say, I'm even stronger than you. Yeah. You spent all that time in the weight room. I spent more, and I'm going to hammer you. Yeah. So it's hard to say, okay, can I use that for God's glory?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a difference between, the phrasing, receiving Christ into our heart, which is common, but the idea of surrendering your life to Christ.
Right.
That's really where the rubber hits the road.
Right. And I found most Christians want a Savior. They don't want a Lord.
Yeah.
They don't want to follow anyone. They still want to follow their own game plan. But the word in the Bible is Lord and Savior.
Yep.
I mean, if you're drowning, you want me to pull you out, but you're not going to say, hey, thanks, Bill, I'm going to follow you the rest of my life. You know?
That's
but that's what Jesus wants us to do. He's saving us from our sin. He's saving us from going to hell. But he says, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. Follow me. I'll make you fishers of hockey players. Right. Follow me. I'll give you a church. You lead these people. You go to your neighborhood, and you make a disciple. Yeah. Follow me.
Follow me, which is a process, of course, and instinctively we don't want to.
No.
So
because
it's a constant,
of pride.
Yeah, pride's the big issue. All right, so if you could go back 40 years to the man you were then, could you have imagined in a million years that you'd be doing what you're doing right now?
Oh man, I hated Christians. I really did. I thought, and people probably look at me and they think I'm a phony, but I just thought, you guys are so judgmental. You hate people. You should be loving people, and you don't even want my mom to come to your church. Yeah. And I hope that's what they don't see in me. But I know there'd be no way I didn't know any Bible verse. I didn't own a Bible. Again, I didn't even know how to love my wife or my children properly. Yeah. And so if God can actually use someone like me, they can use anybody.
Well, he certainly is. And you have a big event coming up, don't you?
Correct. Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, we have a breakfast coming. Our mission in hockey ministries is to reach the hockey world for Christ. Every player, every fan, every coach, every Zamboni driver, everyone. And we live in Minnesota, which some people have nicknamed the state of hockey. So the world of hockey through the World Junior Tournament is coming to Minnesota, the state of hockey, in December and early January for the World Junior Hockey Tournament. And we've been blessed by a huge gift to put on a breakfast. We have room for 1,200 people to come and hear the gospel. If you're a hockey player, a hockey fan, a hockey family, if your faith is a little weak, if you know someone on your team that doesn't know Jesus, you're invited free of charge just to hear it. The GM of the World Junior Tournament in USA is a man by the name of John Van Beesbrook, a Vezina Trophy winner, NHL All-Star. He's going to be our keynote speaker. Aaron Broughton, a great hockey player, is going to be our MC. So you're going to have some great hockey people. Mike Eaves, former coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, pro coach, NHL player, all-time leading scorer in the state of the University of Wisconsin, all-time leading scorer. He's going to welcome all of you in, so you're welcome to come to that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So how do you find out information about that?
Well, we're starting a new website, but right now you can go on and just Hockey Ministries, hockeyministriesminnesota.org, and take a look at that website. My friend Dee Dee Larson, who's going to be, and her daughter Kaya Hill are going to be the people that take a lot of information. But just look, we're going to have some promos out there. I'll have all the stuff, but we just got our funding approved a week ago, so we're just getting started. But pretty soon it's going to be December 27th. So if you're interested in hockey and if you love Jesus and you know some hockey people that don't know Jesus, this would be a great event. Again, there's no cost involved, just the cost of coming and maybe the cost of giving your life to Jesus.
Well, and bringing a friend, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, right.
The World Juniors is a big deal. I remember moving to Canada. We pastored a church there for about 10 years. And the staff would, like every now and then they'd walk in and they were all like, did you sleep last night? No, I didn't sleep. Well, what were you doing? I was up all night watching World Juniors. They're in Russia or something. Like they would wait for that, and they would stay up all night watching it. But I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. You're a very real person. God has obviously got His hand on you, and
thank you.
Very much appreciate you stopping by and sharing your story with us. And really, I pray that event goes well and that many people will come to know Christ through what you're doing there. So thanks so much.
Yeah, I'm getting old. I only have a few more rips in a batter's box. So I want to, God has placed this on my heart. It sounds weird when you say that, God talks, but it just impressed me that we live in the state of hockey and the hockey world is coming here.
Yep.
Share Jesus with as many people as you can.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks so much, Bill.